Hey ManCavians, this is Bob from DaBob's N-Scale ManCave, and today is part 5 of how I'm putting this White Pass and Yukon bridge together. And today is all about the backdrop and how I painted the backdrop. It's a long drawn out process. It took me a couple days or so to build the backdrop and basically paint it all. So I've sped up the video for you. Don't worry, it's not going to take hours and hours and hours. But let's go see how I did it. Okay, I painted sky blue, and I found a shade that I really like. It is a Dutch Boy Forever paint. Got a nice little color sample here, satin interior paint. Like that little blue right there, but this is the label on it. It is basically a light base, twist and pour, kind of 8 ounces, called Blue Morning Glory. I used a roller to put it on, and since I'm going to be painting, a bunch of mountains over the top of it, I did not get a lot of the stuff down here near the bottom and places that were going to be covered up by other scenery, as you can see by some of this outlines that I've put on here. Kind of make it look somewhat what I want it to look like. So I'm going to paint on some mountains and some clouds onto this blue and start getting this backdrop all put together. I have a little bit of inspiration here. Saw this picture. This is, I believe, Estes Park in Colorado, and I liked just the mountain range, all the jagginess and stuff to it. My printer doesn't look that great, so you are seeing lines in the print there. But and I also have this one here of a mountain up there in Alaska, and I'm trying to make it look more of Alaska-esque in this scene. I kind of want something like this or something big like that, a nice big place to put a bridge across, basically, and that's what I want it to kind of look like. So I have some of this acrylics from Hobby Lobby. I have titanium white, which I'm going to use for the clouds and other shading and stuff. I also have a neutral gray, which I might use and might not use. It depends on maybe some rocks. I want to have a little bit of gray in there. Also have some yellow ochre, some permanent black, and some raw umber. Mostly I kind of want a winter type looking scene to it, but I also want a little bit of a mixture of the two. We'll see what comes out of my creativity and my brush. So let's start with some clouds. Before I start with the clouds, I kind of did a little rough draft with a mechanical pencil and kind of drew some lines out where I kind of wanted the shape of my mountains to fit in this 8-foot wide canvas. So I'm trying to make something look more natural and also off in the distance, because the bridge is not going to be right up front next to all the scenic stuff. All the scenery stuff will be right down here toward the bottom on this plane, based on this bottom board going up. Everything else in the back is supposed to be at a distance, far away. And so I kind of want to give some sort of depth to this whole scene in some way. So I had to draw it out and see what it looked like, see where my lines were, so I can kind of follow that with some outlines. And so basically it's paint by coloring book kind of line kind of thing. I had to make my own little, what do I think it's going to look like? Will it fit in that space? Will it look right, be the right proportion, and so forth? So you really got to kind of plan stuff out a little bit for the scale. Got to get a piece of wax paper here from my palette. So I dipped a foam brush in some water to get some wetness in there. You don't want a whole lot of wetness. I'm just going to randomly put some clouds out here. I just kept swooshing the cloud paint all the way around, just kind of making streaks, and kind of got some water on the brush to make it a little bit more thinner, and it turned out pretty good, I think. I have a little bit of water in here, so it makes it spread out a little bit more. You want the top, the closer clouds, to be a little bit bigger than the ones down toward the bottom. That way they look like they're farther away. Now some of this stuff could be covered up with other mountains and stuff, so you kind of pretend like they're behind the mountains, so it gives you illusion basically that there's actual distance there. If you're wondering about the lighting that I'm using out here in the garage, I went and bought these 5,000 lumen, high lumen LED bulbs. Got them at Menards. What, 19 bucks? Regular outlet connector for a light bulb, and it is putting out a ton of light. I just have one bulb on right above here. I've got another bulb behind me that's lighting up. So I have a lot of light in this room. And so I can see everything in here. It looks really good. This is probably going to look better than it looks like in the living room when this thing's up on the wall, and until I get some lighting put in there. What I'm going to do is I need to make the outlines of the ridge on this mountain. And since I'm trying to follow this mountain right here, this whole thing, I need to basically make some shadows in here, make this ridge line look a little darker than the blue sky. And so I'm going to add some of this phthalic cyan blue. You know, why do you have to come up with such a weird freaking name? But anyway, I'm going to mix a little bit of this into the white so that I can get the shadows and this ridge line to show up. Like I said, if you don't like it, you can always repaint it. Wet my stiff bristle brush. Take some of the blue. Let's see what I come up with. With a darker color as you go, you get more details. So I'm trying to follow my ridge line so I get my outline done before I do anything else, so I at least have a guide to where my pencil lines are. Since I knew where my lines were from the pencils, I just started drawing the paint onto those lines. Give myself some sort of outline, and change the color to white. And, you know, the blue's gonna change, the white's gonna change. You know, it's just to give me some sort of border to work with. Then I started with a little bit of gray. I want to start with the shadows on that left side, and it probably could have gone a little bit darker, but gray I thought was a good starting color. I by no means am a professional painter. You're seeing me do this for the first time with a mountain. Just trying to copy this area right here. This is like right there. I'm just trying to make something that looks somewhat similar to that. And, you know, well, we'll see how it goes. And so far, so good. The colors are not quite great, but I wanted to get most of the shadows because that's what really stands out the most against the white on that mountain, is those rocks, those shadows. And so I tried to copy where they were as much as possible to the picture. and that's the most I could do is work off that picture. And so I thought I had the shadows right, and then I started working on the snow. And the best thing to do with the snow is to kind of keep it going with how it falls on the mountain, and try to do that, keeping the brush strokes going in that general direction, putting in more shadows and so forth as I'm going. And I kept looking at it, and I would change the shade and put more gray in, more white, you know, change it up here and there. And I just kept playing with it till I got something that looked right. And as you can see, I'm putting in some of the snow and just drawing where I want that snow to fall, and putting in some more shadow lines as I'm comparing that to the picture and going, maybe I need a little bit more shadow here, more darker, you know, a little bit more color there, you know, maybe more blue in with the white, or a little bit of gray and so forth. So it's kind of morphing as I'm doing it. As always, I mean, trying to make it work the best as I can. So far it doesn't look too bad. A lot of little missing details, as you can tell in the picture up here. I mean, there's a lot of shadows in the real picture, but that's what getting this base coat down for, is to give me an outline and kind of a general look to it. So I'm going to keep continuing on. I may have to lighten this up a little bit, make it a little bit more whiter gray than it currently is, and start adding in some other rock details and shadows and stuff like that. But I got a whole other part of this backdrop to go, and so I'm going to probably start working on that part next. Well, this is Estes Park, the picture anyway, and what I did was I reversed it because I wanted a taller mountain on the right hand side, and it makes it look more unique and not like something you've already seen before. But I'm trying to get the colors right. I got some red, I got some yellow ochre, I got some browns, a lot of variety in here, trying to get the right shade of color. And the gold up there at the top is more the sunlight hitting the mountain as the morning comes up. And it turns out pretty good, I think. A lot of different scenes, and as you can see, looks pretty nice. Okay, since the last time you saw this, I've been doing some coloring of the mountains over in this area, and putting in some snow and some rock runoff, or it's melting through the rock runoff. All the stuff that falls off the mountains gets covered up with snow, and all that snow is melting down into the bottom where it would go into a stream or something, or a lake. You get some definition. I've mixed a lot of colors, blue, the red, the white, yellow ochre, and the raw umber. All those colors combined, and just kind of stippling, just basically taking the brush and poking it at the canvas. Even darkened up or lightened up some of the clouds as well, and put a storm cloud in. It's got a little bit of snow and rain in the mix of it kind of looks like. Added some snow along the tops of the mountains on the sides, shading, get the light coming in from the right hand side. All those kind of things that make this thing stand out as a mountain range in some way. The next thing I'm going to have to do is this big blue mound in the front there. I'm going to green that up. That's going to be a foreground kind of hill or mountaintop, and so I also have to kind of put some details here on the snow mountain, and just kind of put a little bit more effort into it and define some of the lines and so forth. Okay, I'm going to use some white, some black, and some neutral gray, and kind of mix in pieces and kind of lighten this up and get the edges a little bit more straighter, and kind of make it look a little bit more like the picture. So I'm going to try and do that. We'll see how it goes. And as you can tell, I'm going to start getting some more of this black line stuff out of the way and try and make it look a little bit more natural on the hill. I mean, I've got to get some trees going up where that black line was and kind of start getting some more shading in here, you know, trying to, you know, brighten it up where it should be brighter and darker where it should be darker. Just playing around with it, going, yeah, it was too light. Let's put some black back in there. You know, it's not quite looking like the picture. I'm trying to just get in all those little tiny details put in there. You know, trying to get some different shading, and it's turning out pretty good. I'm not too sure I really like the left-hand side there. It's a little bit too dark. It's not enough white in there. You know, let's try some black. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm thinking it needs to be lighter. Let's try that color. No. It's just a matter of playing around with it. Let's see if I can get something to look a little bit closer to what I'm seeing in the picture, and I'm not seeing it. Interesting. Oh, let's try the white. You know, sometimes you just have to hold on to the backdrop because the thing would just keep wobbling around and everything. It's looking a little bit better. I'm just putting in the white first, and then I'll go over it with some gray to darken up the white. It's all inspiration as you go. Just make it look like you want it to look, really. That's what I'm doing. So the next thing to do after this is, you know, make sure all that white is good and make this thing look a little bit more like the picture, and it's coming along nicely. You know, just add a little bit more white here and more shading there. You know, eventually it's gonna turn out looking pretty decent, I think. Now, I think I need a little more black there. Yep. Yeah, just a little bit. Yep, a little bit more on that edge. Kind of define that edge a little bit. Add more shadow. That definitely needed to be a little bit darker right there too. Just it's a lot of hit and miss, you know. Play around with shading. You know, what did I miss here? Well, let's put some different color in there. I think add a little bit of brown along with the white. You know, I was putting some streaks in here and there, trying to get the snow to fall just right, making it look just like it's supposed to. Keep looking at the picture. Oh, I think I need there's some shadow right here I missed. Probably a little bit more over there too. That was just a little bit too gray. You just got to keep looking at it, and you know, keep trying different colors here and there. And it's like, I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I think it's pretty much done. Okay, now I'm gonna put some gray and brown kind of stuff on this hill, give me some ground color before I put trees on it, because you kind of want the ground there before you grow trees, right? So that's basically what I'm going to do. Build the ground, grow the trees. Time to paint some gray on there and define some of my ground. This is supposed to represent the kind of rock and so forth, but you know, got to put some sort of base coat down. Right? I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to go over it with this grass green color, and maybe with a little bit of black mixed in there to make it a little darker. And then I'm going to start putting in some trees, or distant trees, not real close-up trees. I may do that near the front up here. Put in the back over here, it's going to be some distant trees. I don't think I'll be putting any trees on these mountains. because they're basically just rock or snow-covered rock. Still working on it. Still trying to get it to look just right. So you can kind of, a little hard to see against this dark mountain back here, but as you get it on the white, it starts standing out. And as you're tapping it, get those little tiny fingers of green coming out from the brush. And it really jumps out as lots of trees off in the distance. I'm going to make a little correction. Don't put anything dark on your ground. Put the gray down. You need a contrasting color for the greens to show up. That's why it looks so much better over this white than it does over this brown. And you can barely see the tree line. You can barely see the green that's there. You kind of know that it's there. You're assuming that it's there because it just kind of makes sense that there's trees there or bushes. And so it's just a matter of how you see it. So I'm going to take this brown off and put gray down so I can, well, see the trees better. Okay, now that I replaced this brown with the gray, I can start putting some trees on here, and maybe some darker rock, you know, maybe a cliff of some sort. But mostly I think it's just going to be some sporadic kind of tree background for the most part. Because up in this foreground is going to be actual three-dimensional trees and bushes and flowers and animals and so forth. Whatever I can put up there, maybe some campers. Well, this tree line starts to come to life. Putting more and more trees on here, switching between darker green and a lighter green. And I did put a little bit of black in some of these to kind of represent tree trunks. But as I go, it keeps getting better and better. So let's see how this thing finally ends up looking. Well, there. That's what the hill looks like so far. This gray part here is mostly, it's kind of like a rock face, sort of a rock cliff. So it's sporadic trees are on it. I'm going to add some other colors in there, maybe some rock kind of looking lines in there to make it stand out as sort of a rock. And that it is closer than these mountains that are in the background. There you go, ManCavians. That's been my backdrop, and I think I did a pretty good job of it. And it's you know, it's looking really good. And now I have to just put scenery up against it and start finishing this whole scene off. So hope you enjoyed. And if you are the first time visitor to this channel, go ahead and consider subscribing down below. Clicking that bell, checking out some of these other videos over here, and give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below too if you liked what you saw, and give me some pointers. You know, I'm not a professional painter, so I can use all the help I can get. Till next time, ManCavians, happy model railroading. You stay off those tracks. Bye.